Hello. 1 second, guys. 1 second. There's some game news as well today. Whoa, 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 whoa. Too quiet, your mom. It actually? Is it too quiet? I just got out from the shower, by the way. And it was literally... 1 second. Like 5 minutes ago. What's up, Rear, by the way? Fantastic that you're here the same second I go live. What's up, Case? What's up, Crowish? Praise the sun. You can see my hair. What the fuck? You can see my hair dry in real time, by the way, like watching paint dry. Anyway, we have some game news. Let's go look at it quickly. Let me hide the number. Le Freaky, what's a phantom? Oh, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. Wait, where is it? Mr. Beast. Anyway, I just randomly saw that, and then I scrolled down. I saw username. I was like, I should stop scrolling down just in case there's spoilers. So I saw username. I'm like, fuck. Mobile game play? No way. Send it. Anyway, game news as well. 1 second. Here. Holy shit. Also, it's all non-spoilery made for me, by the way. X? I said X? No, I said X. No, okay, I said X. It's over. No way, I said X. Anyway. Twitter. Beta player impressions. Anyone, any of you played the beta? Beta or beta? What? Beta? Beta. Which one? Anyway. Beta, okay? Any of you played it? Gameplay is similar to Justice Online, but it doesn't reach the level of where wins meet. This game is golden, I'm pretty sure, by the way. Okay, so it's good. I mean, this is just a closed beta, by the way. That means that they're improving it, right? Overall, it feels pretty good for a first beta of a new MMO. Yeah, I mean, they made the closed beta to get like feedback, right? It's China exclusive. So I'm quite famous in China, so if compared to Justice Online first beta, Lord of Mysteries feels slightly better. Okay, I see. I mean, the closed beta was literally made to give feedback in the first place, right? Anyway, can't see chat live? My favorite Bilibili reactor. Let's fucking go. Let me refresh. Let me change the theme as well. Where is it? Roll? You currently do not have an active public live stream. Oh. It works. You can see the chat now, right? I changed the colors. Wait, user color. No, it's all orange. Why is it all? Why are you guys orange? Oh, coincidence. Okay, whatever. No, I just fucking closed it, bro. Who is this guy, man? Why does he pop up and open the chat program? God damn it, I just fucking closed it, man. Fuck's sake. Can you guys type something, please? Why is there a... Thank you. Why is it a black box now? I don't know why is it... Where did the background come from? Every viewer has ever left right now. Oh my god. Oh. Type something. No!
At Kleinstow said face blue wide eyes.
Why?
@xfanberskretze 92 SAID time 2 tips slurs. @beats-badreams SAID en du dying. Constantine
What is happening?
et Lotos.
Wait, is someone controlling my PC? I'm not even joking.
92 SAID French Attack.
Who's it French attack?
Kleinstos SAID IUNC. X Famberskretse 92 SAIDNO.
Kleinsto said what is happening TT.
Ah, okay. Sorry. I'm clicking on preset, that's why. Someone else's preset. Okay. You guys, you have black box. I don't know how to fix it. I'm sorry. You guys have a black box, dude. It was reading the chat. Maybe the black box actually looks nice. Upper right corner on my head. I started 3 times. I think this is good position. Whatever, let's skip the black box then. This is fun though. The talk out loud thing. Let me try it again. Okay, never mind. Let's not try it again. Let's read. Okay, let's talk about the game. Anyway. There's a black box now. Sorry for taking like 5 minutes, but they couldn't even fix it, dude. Anyway, so gameplay seems to be really good, right? Graphics are pretty good, though still rough around the edges. I mean, obviously, like, all these criticisms is kind of a nothing burger because it's a closed beta, right? Some areas still need optimization and polish, despite looking great in the preview. Yeah, same thing. Scene environments match the PV exactly. Oh, that means they made the trailer or the preview the same from the game. There was no, like, funny business going on. Tingen is the main starting city and is extremely large. Define extremely large. Like, compare it to a Skyrim map or something. Environments or scenery are described as very impressive. Okay. Character visuals lean Western, not the greasy Chinese Korean MMO style. What is the greasy Chinese Korean MMO style, by the way? Any Korean MMO enjoyers? That looks normal, no? Also, I just washed my hair as well. With full effects and ray tracing on, the visuals look solid. Well, I bought myself a 9070 XT. I don't think that has ray tracing, so yeah. Quality is not as good as Windsmeet, highly better than Ion 2 or Su Xian. Hard to compare directly to the different art styles.
Birthgrids are 92 said ignore the structuring by the way. @beats_dreams said Indu had more shiny. Constantine Dev said that has. Birthgrids are 92 said master fucked it.
I'm just trolling now. Anyway, but I feel like this graphic and overall feel criticism right now is kinda nothing burger, because it is basically a work in progress in the closed beta. But good thing is that the baseline of the closed beta is actually good. So that means they can take the feedback and improve it even more. So I'm excited actually. Okay, so this is the important part. Pathways, class and roles. Apprentice. Okay, so magic damage assassin. Okay. Also, this has made, for me, non-spoilery way. So there's no spoiler. High damage, blink ability, closing, can open doors using abilities instead of lockpicks. Ooh. Quick, kinda quick, what's it called again? Quick, like, passive effect. I feel like a lot of classes have their, like, own passive, like, Seer can probably divine, like, outcomes or something like that, or, like, loot. Is this monster gonna drop rare loot? or something like that, you know? Series range DPS. Okay, no passive, I see, just range DPS. That makes me think that, you know, when you're sequence 9, you use a gun. When you're sequence 7, 6, you use like magic, like fire. Spectator is a healer. Really? Support character. I mean, so far what I have seen from Spectator, it's a pretty like support pathway anyway, right? Warrior melee DPS makes sense. Bard is tank plus melee sub DPS. What does sub DPS mean? Any lore masters? Any MMO enjoyers? As in like it can be tank or DPS? Mystery Briar is DPS type class, okay. Let's support FSR, I think so. Mystery Briar abilities unknown. Crit rate self buff, okay, self buff. 2 AoE skills. Shield that dispels crowd control around 6 kills, okay. Mystery Briar probably is also like a maybe sub DPS is opposite of Dom DPS. I see, okay, that's funny. Like Mystery Briar can be as a DPS class and maybe also as a support class. Self buff though, I wonder if you can use that crit rate buff on others. It's a choice. Okay, so you can take 2 bats. Combat system, classic MMO fighter mage healer. More action oriented than Final Fantasy XIV. As in like faster paced. Doesn't like Final Fantasy XIV have a lot of like cooldowns that you have to wait for? That's what you mean, like action back? I guess so. Knockdown, stagger, E-frames includes dodges, jumps, dashes, AoE and single target skills. No global cooldown. Interesting. Skills can be cast back to back in any order. Okay. Are we gonna start smashing the keyboard, maybe? One Destro felt combat was a bit stiff, similar to FF14, but FF14 does it better. It is like standing still, dealing damage, moving occasionally. Oh, interesting. What's a global cooldown? It's like ability cooldowns, right? Is that what it means? Global cooldown. Cast time, and those who happen instantly. Oh, cast time, I guess. Man, yeah, it's a cooldown. It's basically an ability cooldown. So you can, like, I guess, click multiple abilities back to back, the same ability back to back, but then again, there's probably combos, right? There's probably combos that you, like, should use rather than just spamming one ability. One Destro at combat 7 out of 10. Okay, that's good. Casting skills feel semi-turn based. There is no auto combat. Huh. Auto combat is an interesting one though. Because some like auto combat as in like you click once and does abilities for you? Or what does the auto combat mean here? There is auto bath seeking for quests. One button combo system that spams like skills in fixed order. One button combo. Wow, bro. Journalism difficulty. I'm guessing that one button combo is not optimal. Like if you use like combo yourself, you do more DPS, right? It's like macros. Oh, good comparison, yeah. Sanity and progression systems. Your character level is called sanity level. Okay, so if you reach higher, you lose control or what? Sanity level is separate from pathway sequence. Health equals sanity. Ah, if you lose your health, you're gonna lose control. Spectre heals sanity, fulfilling the healer role. Sanity level is likely used to gate content progression. Okay, makes sense. Like you can't enter this area or can't kill this monster until you're like sanity level 17. Example, needing sanity level 60 to fight certain bosses. Highest available sequence is in the beta is sequence 7. Total skills is sequence 9, 6. Okay. Interesting. Do you start off as a sequence 9 or do you start off as a civilian though? To what one sequences complete quest to obtain potion ingredients. Suggest your current potion. Okay, it's a progress bar, okay. Only then attempt the next sequence. I wanted... What I wanted is, I wanted there to be like an auction house. Maybe there still is, but I wanted there to be like a community-driven economy where people go and like farm monsters for potion ingredients and then sell it on the market, and you can do it yourself and have like, you know, beyond their like gatherings and stuff like that. It will be so fucking fun, no? Doing quests, yeah, I guess so. It's like, you know, this is my opinion. Every opinion is different, I guess. But like, how if I make a perfect MMO? You can reveal spoiler decks. Okay. Adjust your current potion progress bar system. Only then attempt next sequence. Okay. Gacha. Ooh, you guys big fan of gacha, by the way? Here's a gacha system. Pulling characters from the original novel turns them into skills. These characters are called black small square, black small square, black small square, I don't know, I guess. Examples. Pulling Penson grants the skill. Is it fine or not, little brother? Make up your mind. Okay, let's do a roulette. If it's not fine, I'm gonna unmod you. It's okay. Haggle. Oh. What? Used in NPC shops. Man. Okay, they specifically say NPC shops, which makes me think there is like an auction or trading system. Gacha system is called the relationship system. Ooh. Are we gonna get parasocial with characters? Duplicate pulls act like constellations, similar Kenshin. I don't know what that is, lol. I don't play gacha, but I know I did. Yeah, like 20 minutes. I forgot what the constellations were. I think it's like you pull a different place, like if you know any lore masters here, but you have to choose like a pack or like a constellation where you pull from, and every constellation has a different character. I think that's what it is. Duplicate pulls. Oh, never mind. I guess you get like a next free pull. I don't know. Lore spoiler reason: close relationship with characters, stronger skills after pull. There are also cosmetics. Okay. Skill-rated pulls. There's a sealed artifact system. Okay, let's log in here. Special items exist such as Audrey's wallet, defensive item. You cannot PK players to consume their beyond their characteristics, turn them into sealed artifacts. This is like optional PvP then, right? My plan is, by the way, I wanted to like play a lot. I wanted to get really good at PvP and like get new viewers from that, right? As well. Like, oh, I'm number 1 in the world. PvP travels to China to compete in local tournaments. I will never beat the sweats, right? But the best like time to like try is in the beginning, right? Consume their beyond their characteristics, turn them into sealed artifacts. Okay. I see, Kung Fu Chicken. Constellations like this means to get multiple same character, additional duplicate slightly buffed existing character in different ways. Makes sense. I see. Lore and special mechanics. To the major spoiler thing is something happens. This allows low sequence players to use higher sequence ability. Bro. I don't wanna know, man. A sequence 9 can already use heal, summon... I can't click this. Collectible items, a blessing from my lord and savior, the fool, Rach. Used by all pathways. Oh, collectibles. Spiritual and spirit messenger contracts are planned for future updates. It's different from the novel. Oh, okay. I see. World quest and story. Tutorial and quest progression is the same for all pathways. No individual tutorial per pathway. Story. I want there to be. I low-key want there to be like pathway-specific quests. Do you know why? Because then there's replayability, right? I think that's healthy for a game. Story quests to relieve Book 1 events are single player only, otherwise the game has no single player. There are many in-game cinematic cutscenes, launch screen features the grey fog, narration of the first Stout Club meeting, Clan maintaining his mysterious image, only voices, no character visuals. I see. If it's true that this game releases China before rest of the world, I'm gonna be so depressed, by the way. And it literally like takes away my my drive to play this game, so I really hope they change their mind. Multiplayer systems, all AI teammates available for solo dungeon or boss runs. We got to this point where, you know, you have AI teammates, but I guess that's fine. Or people who don't wanna team up, I guess. Player for solo dungeons, yeah. Player kill systems exist. We're gonna make a guild, of course. Of course it's no shot, it's instant global, but why not? Why not? Why not? Player market trade hall exists. Yes, trade hall exists. That's the main thing I'm super happy about. There's a full in-game economy. Oh. Yes. Currency split into paid currency, in-game currency. Me. Is the game free, by the way? You don't know, right? Character creation is okay. Many facial customization options. Character names can be in English, Chinese. Using the name of an Orthodox god or important existent triggers a special cutscene in the case that you survive. You must rename your character. Wow. Cosmetics are available through direct real money purchase, in-game premium currency earned via quest events and dailies. Ah, dailies. I don't like FOMO. Q&A with game tester. How faithful are the abilities? Faithfulness is decent. 100% recreation won't be playable. I don't know what Justice Online is. Now to its current version to the less content compared to Justice Online's first beta, all the mysteries definitely feel slightly better. How is the graphics quality compared to other games? Different art style from VVM. Visual quality slightly better than Ion 2 or Su Xian. Do characters look greasy? No. Does combat feel boring? Includes dodging, jumping, dashing, AoE, single target, no clear mana system. Combat rated 7 out of 10. How big is the map? Thinking extremely big, I see. Anyway. That's it. Game is gonna be hype, right? Who's joining the Hindu guild? Anyway, let's read. I'm not making this into a video because, you know, it didn't seem that, what the fuck is this? Boss. Apparently. Bum guild. Anyone who joins my guild, I will give them items. I will we're gonna share our items. We're gonna we're gonna be grinding and helping new players. That's how I'm gonna win people over, man. I'm gonna give you 5 pennies. Anyway. Let me open my notes as well. As if you'd carry anyone? Bro, we played Deadlock together. You carried me, honestly, man. Okido, okido. Feathers. What happened is, old man from the Omnius Episcopate that was buried backyard of Kaputsky. I think Kaputsky, right? And it's weird, so I'm gonna find out what's happening. I think the Omnius Episcopate moved that person's body, and we'll see. And planted some feathers with oil. Calm down, rare man. Okay. White feathers. Looking at the corpseless grave, Klein suddenly thought of a word, angel. Oh, I was thinking more like a bird. Wait, maybe resurrection? In the canon of the 7 major churches, they were filled with legends of angels and saints. The former had one characteristic, a pair of pure white wings on its back, and as many as 2, 3, or even 6 pairs of pure white wings. Isn't also angel like a high sequence beyonder? However, in this blink of an eye, Klein remembered something else. Mr. Isaac had once described this dream to him, one that seemed to indicate his different lives. One of the scenes was inside a dark mausoleum. There were many opened ancient coffins beside him, and the coffins were corpses with white feathers growing from their backs. Yeah, but the corpses were still there, right? Is this a special characteristic of death pathway or a strange phenomenon caused by the numinous episcopate? Klein didn't say a word as he restrained his emotions and calmly looked at the white feathers stained with yellowish oil at the bottom of the grave. What if that old man died when you serve death? But then again, death is defeated. Maybe imprisoned, actually. Maybe not. His initial judgment was that old gentleman wasn't an angel, as the terrifying sequence 2 or even sequence 1 beyonders will certainly produce intense effects on their surroundings when they died. For example, the holy artifact, Ashes of Saint, which had stored behind Ting and City's Chinese gate, would extend almost invisible, thin black and cold lines so as to seal the people and things around it. True. So what is it, Klein? Because I have no guesses. Read Reverent Insanity after the series. I don't know. Someone's a shadow slave. We'll see. Of course, it's also possible that he didn't actually die. It's like Mr. Ozzy. Klein bent down and picked up 3 white feathers in his black gloved right hand. He planned to do some divination above the grey fog when he returned home. At that moment, Kaputski came to his senses, scrambled to Klein's side and looked at the grave with a hint of fear. "Where's the body?" Klein looked at him and said in low voice, "Maybe he left by himself?" He left by himself? I still think he was dug out by the numinous episcopate. Kaputski repeated in horror, now fully aware of how terrible it was for the dead to awaken. His legs trembled as he muttered to himself, But I didn't use the resurrection ritual on him." Klein turned around and looked at him for a few seconds. "Death is not the end." "Death is not the end. Death is not the end." Kaputski was quite frightened by his own beliefs as he blurted out, "Will they come back?" Well, the copper whistle had summoned the messenger, which probably responds to the old gentleman. In other words, by giving the messenger a letter, it's equivalent to sending a letter to the old gentleman. True, a man who has been dead for almost half a year. I wonder where he went and what kind of state he is in. In response to Kaputski's question, Klein gave him an indifferent reminder. Interesting. I do think as well, by the way, that it's kind of weird how he went in the backyard and they didn't notice that the grave has been dug out before, right? Also, Klein seems to be really confident that the man is alive again, right? Because I thought maybe it was dug out by the omnious episcopate, but Klein doesn't seem to think so. "Don't blow that copper whistle again. You mean the copper whistle will throw him back?" "You mean the copper whistle will throw him back?" Kaputski asked in horror. Before Klein could reply, he asked again, "Can you help me throw this copper whistle into the Dussac River? If you can't, I'll do it myself." "Weren't you interested in the philosophy of death?" Klein lampooned as he reached out to take Kaputski's copper whistle. He was planning on sending a dead man a letter when the conditions were right to see what would happen. I mean, this is a good opportunity to learn more about the death pathway and also the Isaac's mystery. Deleted messages will show in your chat. Oh, an OBS? What? I don't know how to fix the issue, man, with the chat. Let me restart the chat again. 1 second. I don't want to get spoiled in accident. Sorry for the bad start to the stream, by the way. I'm just restarting, that's why. Your message was deleted because he was testing something. The messages were appearing in my OBS and I saw them. Even when they're deleted. It didn't used to do that. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Can you type, guys? Can you delete the message? Oh, it still shows. What the f... On accident, man. W, can you see it now? The chat looks kinda shit though. The quality looks kinda shit. Better now? Okay, fixed. Let's fucking go. Before Kleingold's reply, he asked again, can you help me throw this copper whistle in Tosok River? If you can't do it, I'll do it myself. Weren't you interested in the philosophy of death? Klein ampooned as he reached out to take Kaputski's copper whistle. He was planning on sending the dead man a letter when the conditions were right to see what would happen. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that he was certain that there wasn't too much danger involved. After instructing Kaputski to fill up the grave again, Klein had a brief exchange with him about the spirit dance and the corresponding mysticism knowledge. Enriching his own knowledge, he also asked Kaputski in detail about how he laid the old gentleman's body facing down in accordance with his last words. Under certain special circumstances, using quote-unquote spirit dance to replace part of the cumberstone set up for ritualistic magic would be more effective and simple. Seeing that he had achieved his goal, Klein warned Kaputski to stop dabbling in the so-called resurrection rituals. Then he left the street through the garden and took a long detour via carriage to Wisporo. So he's gonna go and divine, and then again he's gonna go seek out the Church of Wisdom and Knowledge, right? After this, no, not Earth Mother. After changing back into his previous clothes, he returned to Minsk Street, entered his bedroom. After a series of actions, he carried out 3 white feathers and Kaputski's upper whistle above the grey fog. In the fool's high-back chair, Klein conjured pen and paper. He wrote a divination statement he had long thought of, quote-unquote, its origins. Then he beheld the 3 white feathers and leaned back in his chair. As he chanted silently, Klein entered a dreamland. It was blurry, greyish white all around him. In this world there was rich darkness without any light. Suddenly the darkness was dyed with a crimson shade. Okay. A thin pale hand reached out to the yellowish brown soil. Oh, so he actually resurrected. Nobody dug him out. Whoa. A figure slowly got up. He didn't lift the stone slab, but he pierced through the soil directly. Oh. Under the crimson red moonlight, the clothes on the figure's back were tattered, and white feathers grew one after another. The feathers came later. It's like he ascended to heaven, bro. The white-haired man tilted his head, revealing the red spots on his face as well as his blank, emotionless eyes. I mean, it can't be sequence 1 or sequence 2, because otherwise it would have been too powerful, right? The white-haired man tilted his head, revealing the red spots on his face as well as his blank, emotionless eyes. Is he still dead? I guess. It began to walk, struggling through the surrounding fences, heading deeper into the darkness until it appeared far away. The dream shattered, Klein woke up. So, maybe it's like mindless now and it goes somewhere. White feathers sprouted from the back of her corpse. The state resembles Miss Sharon's, but is clearly different as well. It gave her a very heavy and corporeal feeling. Oh, as in like, because you know Sharon seems pretty dead as well. It gave off a very heavy and corporeal feeling. It seemed to be phasing between human body and spirit body in a semi-natural and incomplete transformation. An envoy that simulated the real world and the spiritual and underworld. Klein tapped the edge of the long table and thought for quite a while. Is it... I'm guessing maybe it's the only death pathway thing, but Azik resurrected differently. Like, Azik just loses memories. Maybe lower level death pathway people or level sequences, they go through like aging and get old and then revive somehow. But if you're a higher sequence like Azik, you don't age as much. And you don't die. And it seemed to be mindless between multiple worlds. I don't know why you're so white, guys. 1 second. You're like too bleached. Okay, hopefully it's better now. So it's a pity that I can't. Sorry. An envoy that's connected to the real world and the spirit world and underworld climbed up the edge of the long table and thought for quite a while. Then he divined whether there was any danger in using the copper whistle he received from Kaputski at that very moment, and received a positive answer. There is danger. Furthermore, the spirit pendulum moved with great amplitude and high frequencies. To believe they can't directly use the copper whistle about the grey fog, the messenger won't be able to enter at all. Otherwise, there won't be any danger. After muttering to himself, Klein descended through the grey fog and returned to the real world. Also, what's up for myself? Also, what I want to point out is that remember how menacing Ozik's messenger was compared to like this guy's messenger, the old man, and even like Dali's messenger was more scary as well. Early morning in the relatively refreshing in Empress Borough, the apothecary with round face who was in 30s appeared in a secluded corner and stored the herbs that he had secretly planted into a leather bag that he carried around with him. Oh, the apothecary side quest. After completing the mission for the day, he straightened his back and began to stretch his body. He mumbled to himself with great satisfaction. Sure enough, my physical constitution is improved. I'm no longer like that what I was before, where I was relatively resistant to poisonous elements. However, why is my sequence 8 beast tamer? What does this have to do with apothecary? Oh! Remember we talked about beast tamer being sequence in the seer pathway? Wait a second. Beast tamer. That's actually interesting though, because will that mean apothecary is not all about potions? Maybe it's about like farming. But then again, we have a planter, right? We also have a planter. So what is apothecary about? Because, you know, planter exists. I wonder why there are two different pathways. Also, they're probably interchangeable, planter and apothecary, right? Huh. Interesting. Remember the beast tamer who met in episode 1, Lord who posed as a seer? Oh, but that was just a circus, no? I didn't think that was a real Beyonder. But yeah, beast tamer is also part of a circus then. Does that mean apothecary and what's it called again? Seer are interchangeable maybe? After completing the mission of the day, he straightened his back and he began to stretch his body, blah blah blah. Well, an apothecary tames and uses plants and parts of animals that have lost their lives, while a beast tamer tames and uses living animals. Yeah, true. Does it include Beyonder creatures? Oh, you can farm Beyonder creatures maybe. I think I bleached. Try again. Try deleting again. I'm so sorry. This stream is a fucking mess, dude. Thank God I'm streaming every day this week. The clown from... Oh, you just did the message. Oh. Hey, then will my sequence 7 will be the same? Will be to tame and use humans? Imagine sequence 7 apothecary, sequence 7 apothecary, slave owner. Today's topic: slavery. The old Keyser didn't even tell me the name of sequence 7, nor did they give me the formula. When I stabilize, I'll try contacting him again. Oh, it's the same apothecary from Tingen, by the way. Tingen apothecary's assistant, right? That's the old man, the shop owner in Tingen. The apothecary began punching and kicking to get used to his strength and body. He only stopped when he was utterly exhausted. Pro advanced then, yeah. Whoosh! While panting, he began to consider a serious problem. How should a beast tamer act? Oh, he knows about acting method. Beast tamer, how should it be done? Look for animals and tame them. As the apothecary was mumbling to himself, he suddenly sensed something and looked towards the artificial lake. There was a huge golden retriever running happily. Susie! Oh my god, apothecary and Susie like collab! There was a huge golden retriever running happily. The large golden retriever seemed to notice his case and suddenly turned its head to look at him. As the gazes meet in mid-air, the large golden retriever froze for a moment, then it nimbly turned around and ran away, disappearing with a trace. Episode 1 and 3, the clown is the same guy. Oh, we know that, but the whole circus is the secret order then. So that's divination woman and that beast tamer woman that were both secret organization members then. So secret organization has secret order members. They also have the apothecary pathway. But I know the clown from episode 1 and 3 are the same, yeah. I wanna see what happens to apothecary guy here and Susie, man. Crossover. In the whole family luxurious villa, Susie returned to a piano room and sat beside Audrey's feet, her tongue hanging out as she panted heavily. It waited until the blonde girl finished playing a song before it said in fear, "Oh, Audrey, I met a scary guy. His eyes were scary." "Is that so? What did he want to do to you?" Audrey asked, curious and concerned. Susie thought for a moment and said, "I don't know either. In short, it's very dangerous. It was my intuition." The apothecary man? Oh, because beast tamer? Can Susie tell beast tamers are like scary? Because, you know, I guess so, because, you know, Susie will be a target. What does he look like? Audrey considered letting the cards and left and then warned the man. "I didn't see him clearly. I feel that he's my natural enemy," Susie replied in all seriousness. Yeah, true, natural enemy, because beast tamer. "Your natural enemy? A dog-type nemesis?" Audrey gave a reserved smile. "Susie, don't go into those woods for now." Woof. Woof. "Audrey, we're in a bad mood. Could I tell from your piano music?" Susie asked. Audrey nodded gently and said, "Yeah, I just received word from Clint that Force and Chia wanted to inform me that this evening's gathering has been cancelled. They was originally planning to exchange some Beyonder ingredients for you." Oh, they're what's it called again? Their version of the gathering from demo. "They also attempt to come into contact with people from Psychology Alchemist," she added silently in her heart. "Why?" Susie asked, puzzled. Audrey thought for a moment before replying. "It's said to be a result of a serial murders. Yeah, Beyonders are hiding more these days, that's why." "Can a beast tamer tame a human?" "No, sequence 7 apothecary again. Because, you know, sequence 7 apothecary is called slave owner. I'm joking. You don't know that. Maybe it is. I wonder though, beast tamer, planter, what else can you call like let's try to predict some sequence in apothecary pathway. I feel like it's all connected, but not the way we think. What else can you like cultivate and tame? Humans, true, but what else? No idea. Seeking? No. No idea. Saturday morning back. Oh, it's Sunday soon. Or Monday soon. That means we have gathering with Force for the first time. On Saturday morning, Backland's air was bad as usual. The smog. Klein was trying to make a noodle dish which he loved to eat as a child. For this, he bought higher quality flour, added water and sugar, and mixed it to form a pot of thin paste. Then he poured oil into the pot and moisturized the surface. After the oil heated up, he scooped up some of the flour paste with his soup spoon and poured it to the side of the pot, spreading it thin. Amidst the sizzling sounds, he spread out several flat pieces of bread, and the fragrance of a flour gradually emanated. When he was almost done, he removed the soft flat pieces of bread one by one and put them on a plate. Then he added fodder and turned the remaining materials into batter. As soon as he returned to the dining room with the flat bread and paste, Klein impatiently tore off a piece and stuffed it in his mouth. That flat piece of bread only had a rich fragrance of wheat and sweet taste that whetted his appetite. It was simple and plain, but it was exceptionally delicious. "Is a taste from my memories?" Klein quickly ate. There's no noodles in this world. I guess it's mostly like bread and potato and stuff, right? Klein quickly ate, occasionally drinking a mouthful of the paste. He was almost done eating and started to slow down. The doorbell suddenly rang. "Ooh, client! A new commission." Klein took off his napkin, wiped his hands, and got up to the door. Didn't he add expire? Chapter 3 and 4. Didn't he add expire or? Huh. Before he touched the handle, the image of visitor appeared in his mind. Middle-aged gentleman with white sideburns, a thin face, and outstanding temperament. Oh, the detective? Was it Isengard? It was the private detective Isengard. Okay, it is Isengard. Staten, who could get an invitation from the police. "Why is he here?" Klein opened the door in puzzlement and asked with a smile. "Good morning, Mr. Staten. Is there something?" I do think Mr. Staten or whatever is on the detective pathway. So sequence 7 reader. Isengard took off his half top hat and smiled. "Good morning, Mr. Moriarty. I wish to work with you. I believe you're an excellent detective. After all, you previously managed to lead your investigations all the way to East Palamdok and Dock Union all by yourself. Cooperate?" Klein didn't hide his surprise. It was a difficult mission, maybe. Yeah, Knowledge Keeper also. Also, I feel like Isengard figured out that, you know, Klein is a Beyonder, if he's a Beyonder, which I think he is, because how isn't okay? Whatever. I'm not gonna say it again. But he's the best detective in the backland, and it has like millions of people, so he must be right. Isengard tapped his black cane and replied in a deep voice, "To find the serial killer behind the recent chain of serial murders." Ooh, that's a mission. The police has already offered a reward of £2,000. We're gonna split it 50-50? 50-50? £1,000 for us, £1,000 for you. That's generational wealth, oh my god. 305, the detective exchange. It took me 57 minutes to read one chapter, by the way. Isengard to Tarot Club will be amazing. I think Geo is next though. I'm gonna figure out who the serial killer is before everyone. 1 second. £2,000? That's enough to drive all the bounty hunters and private detectives in Backland crazy. This isn't like Vice Admiral Hurricane Chilangos, who was out sea for extended periods of time and had a bunch of subordinates. It's a bounty that can easily be touched if one reaches out. I do think that, we know it's on the criminal pathway, but there might be a secret organization backing that guy. I think he has gotten, 11 murders or 12 murders? That means he needs one more, right? He needs 13 to 49 to complete the ritual, I'm pretty sure. Well, a pirate with combat prowess comparable to Sequence 5 was worth 10,000 gold pounds. A Sequence 6 murderer would have to be at value of 3 to 4,000 pounds to be reasonable. Could it be that the Nighthawks and Man Punishers have misjudged the serial killer to be Sequence 7 rather than quasi-expert who is about to advance to Sequence 5? Or they don't want to give us much money, you know? It's very possible that the ritual that the sun mentioned in rather ancient, perhaps after the cataclysm has barely appeared again, and the few great searchers and military don't have any information regarding this. Maybe, yeah, true, actually. This underlying problem, the Church of the Goddess, the Church of the Goddess steam and machinery, as well as the Augustus royal family, was said to have risen from the cataclysm. It's reasonable if they aren't aware of the past, but the Church of Storms have always insisted that they were one of the oldest. Could it be that their age is referring to a period of time after the devils were treated back into the abyss? This is like one of the rarest and oldest pathways that we don't know about, right? Or people don't know about anymore, basically. So why does that guy have it? I wonder if it's making a comeback. Remember, there was a statue of the... I wonder if it's connected, but there was a statue of the fallen creator in the land of Forsaken Gods. Remember? So I low-key feel like the criminal pathway and the Aurora Order are somewhat connected. That's what I think. Right? Because they're both kind of lunatics, and I wonder if it's like interchangeable as well. Or, what's he called again? Secret suppliant and criminal? Maybe. After hearing Isengard's stated words, the first thing that flashed across Klein's mind was to assess the amount of the bounty. Of course, and then allowed his mind to wander and made many connections. What's your opinion? Isengard noticed that Sherlock Moriarty seemed distracted and pressed him. My opinion? Klein was momentarily stumped. Yeah, how can you tell that to Isengard? Because he still thinks Isengard is a civilian. He doesn't know Isengard might be a Beyonder. Which, you know, if it turns out that he's not a Beyonder, then my bad, right? A normal private detective would have definitely agreed, but because of the bounty and because of a well-known detective in front of him, a friendship with Isengard will provide him with great benefits in detective circles. The problem, however, was that Klein wasn't a normal private detective. He was worried that he would run into Nighthawks who were in charge of the investigation. Although I now have a beard, glasses and a change in hairstyle, and the few Nighthawks who have seen me only a few times won't recognize me, what if it was Madame Dali? True, actually. However, it also isn't right to turn the request, as that won't make sense. Will turn down the request, that won't make sense. It will appear bizarre and suspicious. Furthermore, I do hope to catch that devil as soon as possible. Otherwise, I don't know how many innocent girls will be killed. Klein hesitated for a few seconds, then he smiled. I've recently taken on a very troublesome case. I'm afraid I don't have much spare time. Really? What? Why would any rational mind, knowing the name, will choose this pathway? I don't think they would. I think there will be like some Aurora or their lunatics. Even though, does it have to be interchangeable at like sequence 5 or whatever? What if it's interchangeable at sequence 6, right? What if this is like an Aura Order member who interchanged to criminal pathway? Because you're right, like why would anyone do that? Huh. The keyword is rational, yeah. There are people who are not rational, by the way. There are people like Ritter, for example. He will take criminal. But Klein refusing the mission that pays £2,000? Okay. Maybe Klein is pressing him like, oh, I'll pay you more. Before Isengard Staten could speak up, he added, I can participate in the discussion and help to look through the information and analyze the clues, but I don't think I'll make any specific investigations. I'll do a divination later. If there's a problem, I'll also hold back from sharing my opinion and purely be a spectator. As he spoke, Klein quickly formed a plan. Holding the black cane in his hand, Isengard pondered for a moment and said, no problem. I've gathered more than a dozen detectives and I have enough people to perform the investigation. Dozen? That means you're gonna end up like £100 later, huh? To perform the investigation, what I admire the most about you is your excellent reasoning and analytical skills. Without as many resources as me, you actually managed to go all the way to the East Palam dock and went to the dock union. If you do capture the criminal and receive the bounty, I'll distribute the rewards according to everyone's contribution. Oh, that's good. In a reasonable manner. Trust me, I have some credibility in the business. I trust him. Alright, I hope for a pleasant partnership. Klein reached out with his right hand and shook it, feeling the dry warmth of Isengard's palm. Ugh, I wanna feel the warmth of Isengard, honestly. It wasn't easy for middle-aged gentlemen in the 40s or 50s to maintain such a warmth in background late autumn. This added to Klein's suspicion that Isengard was a beyonder. Here we go. Here we go. £100 for sharing your opinions is not too bad. True, £100. You have to remember, £100 is like $20,000, by the way. So yeah, right? Yeah. Wait, no. No, it's not. No, it is. It's such a simple calculation, but my brain doesn't work. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is 18,900. Likewise, Isengard smiled and nodded. At that moment, Klein realized that he was being somewhat impolite, so he smiled and said, sorry, I forgot to invite you in. Let's talk about this over coffee and tea. Thank you for the offer. I already arranged for the detectives to come to my house at 9 in the morning to discuss the case. My assistant is waiting for them there. Isengard took out a marvel of mechanical beauty, a silver pocket watch with complicated engravings, opened it and said, we need to head over there to meet them. Will that be a problem? No, not at all. Let me use the bathroom first and have a change of clothes. Oh, he's gonna divine in the fucking bathroom, bro. He's gonna divine in the bathroom. At this moment, Clarence suddenly already discovered the feeling of being Nighthawk again. Striking evil down, maintaining order, and protecting the people. Oh my god, true. Nostalgic, right? Also, yeah, what is it called again? Klein, the fool inside the bathroom? Or what was the saying? I forgot. In the bathroom, Klein went about the grey fog and received an acceptable answer through divination. He quickly returned to the real world, put on his coat and hat, took his cane and followed Isengard into the rental carriage where he sat beside him. Lord of Bathrooms. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we accepted the mission. I see. Or, I mean, this is basically like a teamwork, but if it's just a matter of like, you know, finding out and reporting it. You don't really have to fight him, right? But knowing this story and knowing Klein is going to be the one that fights him. Even if he's like sequence 6 or 5, if he like completes a ritual, it's bad business. But I think Klein might be able to take him somehow. Like he's smarter, right? Isengard looked at him and asked while seemingly in thought, I'm very curious about how you managed to discover the Cyber Death was related to Doc Union at East Palam Docks. I didn't discover it, it was a misunderstanding. Klein considered the question seriously to fabricate a lie. With a smile on his face, he answered vaguely. The crux of the investigation was to first determine the Cyber Death was done by a copycat. This point was all thanks to reporter Mike Joseph. Shout out to Mike Joseph, by the way. After confirming this, using the clues about Cyber's route from Colner Rose, together with other clues, I had matching guess. so I disguised myself as a reporter to perform the investigations. Isengard nodded slightly, and without wasting any more time on the subject, he went on to give more detailed account of the serial murders that the newspaper had described, especially the latest case. Time flew by as discussion and exchange progressed. The carriage arrived at a slightly old building in Hillston Borough. Okay. They give him a fight? Yeah. The house lighting wasn't very good, even though there wasn't much fog in background today. It remained rather gloomy. Isengard stayed and led Klein through the spacious living room and into the activity room where the fireplace had been lit. Klein looked around and saw about 16 detectives who had filled every available seat in the activity room. So we're gonna stand up or something? Sherlock? A surprised voice sounded. It seemed to be very familiar with Klein. Oh, one of the... what's it? Castellina or something? Remember the detectives or bodyguards? No, they were bodyguards, not detectives. Okay. Who is it? Klein looked over in surprise and realized that Detective Stewart! Ha! Who I just paid farewell yesterday was actually here. Oh my god, this fucking fraud, by the way. I remember saying it last stream that we're gonna see Castellina and Lydia again, but we're not gonna see Stewart again because he's so like weak NPC. But here he is, man. Here he is. I guess, you know, never say something is 100%, right? Cowardly goat, yeah. He carefully looked around and recognized Detective Kaslana. Oh, Kaslana is here, who had been protecting Adol and their assistant Lydia. What a coincidence. The corners of Klein's mouth curled up into a smile as he approached Stewart. Stewart squeezed to the side, vacating half of his seat and said with a bat. Half of his seat? Man, one butt cheek for one butt... whatever. Stewart squeezed to the side, vacating half of his seat and said with a bat. Maybe it's not a coincidence. I read about it in a magazine before. There's a psychological phenomenon called synchronicity. Just thinking about it can make it happen. That's a joke. My awkward, cowardly king, Stewart, by the way. At this point, Isengard introduced Klein to the detective present. This is Mr. Sherlock Moriarty, an excellent detective. With his endorsement, Kaslana and the others looked at Klein with much more trust than before, believing him to be an outstanding private detective. Oh, Isengard has so much aura that getting like a endorsement from him makes people trust Klein more. That's cool. Klein nodded in response, sat down next to Stewart and casually asked, "Is your commission over?" Yes, Adol's situation has improved and something seemed to happen to that bad company of his, and they're unable to threaten him any further, so we lost our jobs. Stewart laughed at him and said, "I was planning to rest for a few days, but Mr. Staden summoned me, so I came to take a look. Actually, this is also good, as I really don't like to take on strange, scary cases. Oh, scary as in those with paranormal elements, compared to those I'm more willing to take on murder cases." Bro, if, like, Stewart is such a coward, when it's nighttime, he has to, like, turn on the light to go to the bathroom, you know? After an assistant had poured each of them a cup of coffee or tea and distributed the information, Isengard sat down in a reclining chair, took out his pipe and slowly rubbed it. You're a coward? Okay, man. Sure. I don't think any of you will be unfamiliar with this recent chain of serial murders. Do you have any thoughts on this case? What if the killer is actually Isengard, by the way? Imagine killer is Isengard, is just playing all of these people, man. You know, sometimes the killer is the one you least expect, right? Do you have any thoughts on this case? Speak out so we can engage in discussion over it. Stewart, whose face was thin and had tiny mustache, raised his hand and spoke first. I just read through the information and discovered that the police didn't start investigating the case based on the identity of the victim. I don't think the criminal could have figured out with his eyes if the victim was once a street girl. He must have had contact with them. This is such an important clue, but the police actually missed it. God, it's unbelievable. That criminal most likely recognized the victim with a naked eye, Klein muttered to himself. Interesting, so I guess maybe not really a naked eye, could have used spirit vision to recognize them, right? Same thing, maybe? So, the category of the killings, do they have to be someone that the Beyonder knows? No, I can't blame him. I was just picking it. Like, I'm just like teasing Stewart, man. I have to like make fun of someone, you know? Otherwise, you guys will make fun of me. Anyway. So I don't think it has to be someone that that person personally knows, but this person, the first victim, the beyonder did recognize with the naked eye. Okay. The majority of the private detectives echoed Stewart's doubts. Only Kaslana, Isengard, and few others remained silent. It's a very important direction, Stewart. Get a few friends to continue this line of investigation. When the discussion subsidized, Isengard calmly gave a comment. I wonder though. They mean the killer realized a street girl when he sees one? Ah, okay, yeah, true. My bad. But you know, when you say recognize the victim, right? That makes it seem like, you know, they have met before. Or maybe he used the services of the street girl before, right? What if Isengard... Okay. If Isengard is the killer, imagine he just hired the most washed up detectives out there. But then again, he hired Klein, so maybe not. Stewart, get a few friends to continue this line of investigation. When the discussion subsidized, Isengard calmly gave a comment. In the time that followed, detectives argued, raised their voice to retort, stood up, and times in order to pace around to collect their thoughts. They won't want the body, that's why. During this whole time, Klein listened without comment. When the exchange was almost over, he suddenly raised his hand and said, I want information on the unsolved serial murders in the last 20 years spanning across Packland and even the entire kingdom. Holy shit. That's a lot of info, man. You're gonna read that info for years to come. Because the murder rate was very high back then, right? The room suddenly fell silent for a few seconds and most of the private detectives were momentarily unable to understand Klein's intentions and thoughts. Isengard put his pipe to his nose, inhaled its scent and said thoughtfully, you think that this isn't the murder first series of crimes? Yeah, I mean, makes sense because if you are, you can connect him to an older crime because, you know, how do you act as a criminal? With Unwinged Angel is crazy though. Also, how do you act as a serial killer, right? You kill people, you steal, you do crime. Unwinged Angel has so much aura, by the way. Also, it's like, you know, but it doesn't really fit, does it? It's the old name, I'm pretty sure. Where do you get that sequence 8? I don't fucking remember. I don't remember, wait. Unwinged Angel. Angel. Case sensitive, no. Unwinged. What the fuck? New one is Cold Blooded. So I didn't make it up. I was about to respond to you with this picture, guys. But no. Apparently, it's an old name. New name is Cold Blooded. Isengard put his pipe to his nose, inhaled its scent, and said thoughtfully, like Tom Smith, kinda. Remember? You think that isn't murder's first series of crimes? You suspect him of having committed similar crimes before, even if the modus operandi is different. Isn't a suspicion, but almost a certainty, Klein replied in his heart. This was his reasoning based on the information provided by the Sun. Since the killer was working hard to advance from Sequence 6 to Sequence 5, what did he do at Sequence 7 as a serial killer? Exactly, right? But like, you know, there's a different ways to act, right? It's up to like interpretation. But serial killer acting method must be self-explanatory, no? You're a serial killer, no? If he hadn't committed similar crimes, it would have been difficult for him to digest the potion, even if the accumulation of time where there was a significant chance of losing control. And advancing from Sequence 7 to Sequence 6, furthermore, there was a high risk for Beyonders in their pathway to lose control, yeah. Since Klein decided that regardless of whether the murderer knew the acting method, I do think that this criminal is part of the Aurora Order, though. Even though Aurora Order like are specifically on the secret suppliant, I do think they are like criminals as well. He must have done serial murders during his time in Sequence 7 for various reasons. This way, even if the process of digesting the Sequence 7 potion won't take years to complete, together with Sequence 6, 20 years would be quite a reasonable limit. After all, if one was too old, regardless of whether one had digested the potion or not, advancing to the next sequence would have been too dangerous. As the ritual progressed, the person would have become increasingly insane, leaving behind obvious clues. At the current stage, the murderer's calm and the ability to intervene with divination and tracking. There were almost no loopholes, but he might not have been the same during his early days of inexperience. Yeah, true. Imagine tracking back like murders from like 15 years ago and catching him that way. Also, these like murders are very calculated and smart. That makes me think it might be someone from the Aurora Order. It actually might be Isengard on God. In the first completed serial murder case, there was a high chance that he wasn't this cautious. That was the follow-up which would have provided the best clues. Many thoughts flashed through the client's mind, but Inoden replied, the criminal's modus operandi doesn't make him seem like a rookie. Because you have to translate that to none beyond their speech, right? I have reasons to believe that he was done such cases before. By combining the past and the present, we're more likely to grasp the crux of the problem. Hearing this answer, detectives whispered to each other in discussion. After a brief silence from Isengard, he sincerely praised. A brilliant idea! Good. Isengard likes that. I feel like... I don't know, like I can't get in my mind of Isengard now. Anyway, I'll say hello to my dad. He knocked on the door. I'll be back in like 4 minutes. Also, I'll pee. I'll put on TTS for messages so you guys can like have fun in chat. And I'll be back soon. Isengard is 50.
Skretker 92 said Isengard is an old man.
Be right back, guys.
At Shikember Skretker 92 said we are Charlie KIRKKKK. At Shikember Skretker 92 said old ass TTS. At a Kung Fu Chicken said him Sage Nice that is chapter 07. At Shikember Skretker 92 said don't even want to play with it. At Shikember Skretker 92 said 07. At Shikember Skretker 92 said 76 quadrillion 767 trillion 676 billion 767 million 676,767.
At For Myself said I wonder if this is how sequence 8 of the monster pathway talks. At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said spoilery. At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said does Andu know actually. At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said I don't remember. At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said 67 per mil per mil per mil.
Yo.
At 4 myself said I think I saw it fill in his notes. At a Phantom EX3 said I don't know CK8 of Monster so he doesn't.
Ah.
At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said per mil 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 per
Monster Robot Lucky Winner Soothsayer Snake of Mercury.
per mil 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 per mil.
That's yeah.
At a
Robot.
Phantom EX3 said at least I'm pretty sure. At a Kung Fu Chicken said Inst dies this chapter 07. At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said he does.
When did we hear Robot?
At
I think
XS
Ankh spoiled
Fanber
the.
Skresher 92 said oh well. At a Phantom
Okay, let's stop now. Let's
EX3
sleep
asks
reading.
oh wait when did we hear Robot WTF?
I think Ankh spoiled it for me.
At a Phantom EX3 said bruh.
Can you shut the fuck up now? Thank you. The murder. Okay, so it's too rational and too smart to be on the Aurora Order. I feel like Aurora Order would be like too out there, even though I always like underestimate their intelligence. They're still smart. They're just fucking. They're just lunatics, right? But then again, I don't know why I'm sus of Isengard. I just did once and then I'm like, huh. It doesn't make sense. I don't have any proof. I can't prove it. I know it is him, but I can't prove it. Fuck. Giant 5. Oh, sorry, 6. Giant Bishop. Oh.
At XS Fanber Skresher 92 said huh.
Wait, well,
At
Shut up.
XS Fanber
In the evening, Klein sat down on a reclining chair in his activity room, warmed by the fireplace. So Giant, as in from the Giant pathway? He picked up the information. Wait. The guy that the apothecary told Klein to meet, but isn't that person from the Earth Mother Church? He picked up the information that Isengard's assistant had just delivered. As soon as his idea received praise from the great detective in the morning, Kasala immediately claimed that she needed the same piece of information. Stewart had murmured that he had believed Klein was an excellent detective given his calmness and composure when he faced Adol, but he hadn't expected him to be that outstanding. At the same time, he told Klein that if he needed help, he could find him. He knew a lot of people in detective circles in Backland. Isengard also promised to immediately contact the police and try to provide the corresponding information to the detectives who needed it before Nightfall. He truly was very trustworthy. At the next Tarot Club, I'll have to ask little son through the world about the characteristics of Sequence 6 Devil and what powers the Beyonders of the sequence possess. I didn't plan on involving myself previously, so I had forgotten to gather the corresponding amount of information. However, since I decided to help, it's best to prepare at the very least. I will know what's happening when danger rears its head. Klein thought for a few seconds when he lowered his head and under the light of the gas lamp began to look through the unsolved serial murders in the last 20 years of the Loan Kingdom. He's looking at cold cases. But if the killer was acting differently back then, how is he gonna connect those killings to like current killings? Is he gonna look for patterns of like behavior, but then the behavior would have changed, no? There were fewer than he had expected. There were a total of 4 in Backland, 5 in other cities, a total of 9 total. Oh, do you know what that means? That doesn't mean that there are a lot of like, there's like less murders. That means that people are being convicted, but sometimes wrong people are convicted for it. Innocent people, or people who have been set up by the murderer, right? If your conviction rate is really high, that means you are convicted even if there's like less evidence. I think. Yeah, although this world doesn't have the concept of DNA yet and lacks many necessary deductive skills, with the impetus of the Emperor, there are already a rudimentary form of fingerprint investigations. Furthermore, there's mediumship, divination, dream entry, and other Beyonder methods. The police usually won't seek out Beyonder teams from the 3 major churches. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. there's mediumship, divination, dream entry, and other beyonder methods. The police usually won't seek out beyonder teams from the three major searches for individual murder cases that won't involve the nobles, the rich, or officials. However, a serial killer has very negative repercussions. It easily causes panic, so they'll definitely make the wisest choice. This way, having only a few unsolved serial murders in the past 20 years is reasonable and logical. Can quickly understood the reason. True, you have magic, but mental gymnastics? No. Statistics, when you look at statistics, sometimes there's a reason. For example, there's a reason why Poland has very little, for example, sexual assault statistics, because there's less reporting going on and they consider sexual assault something different than other countries, right? Something like that. Like, you always have to like read between the lines as well, guys. He gathered his thoughts and began flipping through the cases on one after another. Sorry if you're from Poland, by the way, it's just random comment. In the absence of sufficient information to perform divination, it had initially selected 2 serial killings that might be related to the current incident and intended to use them as initial starting point. One case occurred 4 years ago where there were 5 victims, all single prostitutes. Oh! With a child! Ew. Why would you target them? They had been mistreated before they died but lacked any evidence of sexual intercourse. Huh. The police in charge of the case at the time thought that the murderer must have known the horse, or else it would have been impossible to precisely select individuals with a child. They had identified the suspect from the people who lived nearby and from the regular customers of several of the whores, but in the end they failed to find the real murderer. That's very close, by the way. More murders found means innocents are convicted. No, I meant... That's not what I said. I said, if there are like only a few cold cases, doesn't mean that murder rate is low. It means that people get convicted, right? But sometimes innocent people get convicted, right? The reason why real world has right now so like many cold cases and unsolved crimes is because, you know, we don't convict anyone who's a little bit suspicious. But no, they have magic, that's true. What's up, Alma? They have magic, so they can divine and stuff like that. That's true. That's a lot better than DNA, I feel like. I don't know about it. Shut up. The police in charge of the case at the time thought that the murderer must have known the wars, or else it would have been impossible, blah blah blah. Although the dossier only made a brief note, Klein could clearly tell that they had asked for the help of beyonders from the 3 major churches. Unfortunately, they were still unable to crack the case. With the beyonder powers of the abyss being able to tell signs that a woman had once been a degenerate doesn't go against the law of mysticism. But likewise for recognizing an individual as a prostitute, but it doesn't make sense that they would know that the woman was single with only 1 child. The police were right. What was the problem? The real murderer was like me, able to resist dreams, divination, mediumship, and evade investigations from the meat sequence Nighthawk and mandated Punisher beyonders. They were trying to find the devil serial killer. It's impossible. Although the church doesn't acknowledge about the serial killer, the murderer might have had some fortuitous encounters. Klein picked up the same problem from his own standpoint. I'm analyzing them by being part of their kind. I really didn't fail to live up to the name of Moriarty. Give a self-deprecating comment and said that the first target will still be the 4 from Backland. Yes, I'll get Mr. Staden to confirm the suspect's current address and condition through the police. And I'll ask Stuart to get others to help. That way I won't appear directly so as to avoid encountering any official beyonders. After the situation was been clarified, I can gather the suspect's belongings and move them about the Great Fork to make mystical deductions, and quickly worked out a plan. The second case had taken place 11 years ago. 4 cases of dismembered corpses had happened in succession. Originally, these cases were considered as isolated cases until the police began having suspicion over the way the bodies were handled. Only 10 was it confirmed that it was a case of serial murders. The victims were men and women who had worked till late at night before they returned home. They weren't robbed and there had been no common connection between them. If you go kill them, why not just rob them as well, right? Due to the delay time, which was very valuable when the crime was first committed, the case failed to produce any clues pointing to a suspect. All of this, like, remember what Klein said about, like, oh, this killer in the past, you know, wouldn't have been this rational? It seems like he fucking was. That's why I think it might be Isengard himself. He kind of fits, right? What's up, username? Is a problem caused by mishandling the case. If they had quickly received the help of a spirit medium, the wraith of a deceased might even gather around the murderer. Of course, it's also possible that the wraith can be quote-unquote killed by the murderer, just like the case. There's probably only ashes of those victims left. It will be hard to do any investigations. So them Klein robbed his temples, and when he saw it was evening, he stopped considering the case and got up from his reclining chair to leave Minsk Street. He had something to do that night. He wanted to go to the area south of the bridge, to the Harvest Church of Rose Street, to find Bishop Utovsky in a bid to obtain the apothecary formula. He had already divined to see if it was dangerous or not. So is this the bishop, giant bishop? But apothecary though? Isn't it the Church of Apothecary or Earth Mother? He could get injured or fall sick. To Klein, having an apothecary as a subordinate was extremely helpful. He could get injured or fall sick, he could encounter enemies who could harm him, and an apothecary who he could find at any moment will be someone he could rely on. After making a detour to East Borough, Klein disguised himself and took the steam metro to cross the Dusak River and arrived at district south of the bridge. Also, I don't... where is Kapim? Also, sometimes when, like, you know, influential and rich people do murder, they get away with it easier, right? Because they can, like, corrupt and pay police and stuff like that, right? Maybe Kapim is the serial killer? Kapim? Anyway. He could get injured or fall sick. He could encounter enemies who could harm him, and an apothecary who he could find at any moment would be someone he could rely on. After making a detour to East Borough, Klein disguised himself and took the stream metro to cross the Dusak River and arrived at the district south of the bridge. Along the way, the darkness along the metro line and the corresponding cast lamps formed an unforgettable scene. Oh, I want to see that. While the public carriage, Klein came to Rose Street and found a tiny Harvest Church, which was easily recognizable. It's just so small, right? Only a few churches along the entire Lowen Kingdom. The Golden Cathedral had more striking steeple, the sacred emblem with a life engraved on its outer wall. It was a baby surrounded by the symbols of wheat, flowers, and spring water. It stood out from the surrounding buildings. At that moment, the cathedral lights were dim, and there wasn't a single devotee inside. Klein sneaked in from the side, carefully tapping his face with paint rather than relying solely on his ability to create illusions. In the hall of the cathedral... Why does he sneak in though? Why is he sneaking in? Why doesn't he just say hello to the bishop? What info about the killer we have? Killer is very coordinated, smart. That's the info. Okay. I have to put up a different notepad for this. Who is the killer? From Aurora Order? No, because smart, coordinated, doesn't seem like a lunatic. Might be wrong though. Uh, 12 victims needs 13 victims. Why is he stalling on the last victim though? Unlikely, you're right. Why is he stalling on the last victim? One second, guys. What org was it? There has to be a period of time. Yeah, but already time has passed, I'm pretty sure. What was the orc name that has criminal? But I'm sure Secret Suppliant and sorry, I wasn't reading this. How do I remove the highlight? I just want to go later. Whatever. Blood Sanctify Sect. Oh yeah, true. But isn't that 1 second. Let me get context. Why do my notes not work, man? And when it came to devil worship, it was almost always tied to the ancient organization. It was the Blood Sanctify sect that first to be the 4th epoch. Is it still around, though? Is it still around? That's what I'm wondering. I wonder if they got renamed. They were related to a devil worship. Was a loose alliance formed to the worship of devils. They considered the several so-called devil clans. Noise, Adriel, and Peria clans. Okay, they are still around, I see. They're still around. I wonder if the same person is doing serial killings in Backland also was the one that tried to cake Mrs. Oriana. Mrs. Oriana's dad was killed by them, right? Anyway. I know all the pathways. Blood Sanctify sect. Most likely, but unknown so far. Like no info. We have no info on the Blood Sanctify sect outside that part right there. Any characters that fit the criteria to maybe be part of it that we don't like? I mean, I was suspecting Isengard, but I can't prove it. I guess I have to keep reading to get more info, I guess. Okay, I guess we're reading. In the hall, the gradual rows of pews were arranged neatly right at the top. At the front, there was a large-scaled sacred emblem of life. Candles were lit on both sides of it. A tall man in his 40s or 50s, wearing a brown clergyman's attire, sat in the front pew. Just by sitting there, he was like a small mountain, giving off an extremely oppressive feeling. Oh, as in like just tall, not like a real giant. The man wore a bishop's bonnet and his eyebrows were light and thin. There were obvious wrinkles at the corners of his eyes, his cheeks and the corners of his mouth. He had his eyes closed tightly, his hands clasped as he pressed them to his chin, as if the most pious of confessions. Suddenly he opened his eyes, revealing a patch of light blueness. Bro looks pretty rough for his age, no? The Mother's Church will not reject anyone. Why didn't you take the main entrance? The 40 to 50-year-old man didn't raise his head as he spoke in low and gentle voice. Are you Bishop Utravsky? Klein walked out of the shadows. Probably a beyonder of high sequence, right? A tall man in a brown bishop attire replied gently. I prefer to be called Father Utravsky. Alright, my lord. Klein deliberately laughed. Oh, why do you do that though? Your name and your height. Tell me you're from Vesak. Why do you believe in Earth Mother? Oh, are people from Vesak like all chads? Like all like tall and strong and okay, tall, right? Bishop Udravsky raised his head slightly and stared at the sacred emblem of life ahead of him and said with emotion, I was born along the coast of Midshire, Indo. I was a man who was passionate about combat and killing. Indo really is from Asak Empire, Klein nodded indiscriminately. Midshire was the natural border between Low and Intis and Vesak. Oh, on the border, exactly. The east coast belonged to Loa and most of the west coast belonged to Intis, and the north were the famous port cities of the Fasak Empire, such as Indo. In addition, the Michi Shire appeared spread of the northeast, penetrating through the Fasak Empire territory and connecting with the North Sea. There are many islands in that part of the sea that were habitats for polar bears and sea lions. Hunting polar bears and sea lions were traditional festivals of citizens of Fasak. That's crazy. As his thoughts began to wander, the little Bishop Udravsky continued to look forward and said, I committed a serious crime and fled to the Sonia Sea. I committed a serious crime and fled to the Sonia Sea, where I became a ruthless pirate. Why is he telling all this to Klein, by the way? I was lucky enough to meet the missionary of Earth Mother before I fell into the true hell of the soul. Making it like relatable maybe tries to like get on Klein's good side. After that day I understood the value of life, understand the charms of living things, and gained the joy of stems purely from life itself. I swore in front of the Earth Mother's sacred emblem that I would spread her faith in other countries to make up for my bloody past. Thus here I am, I came here. What if this guy's a fraud? What if this is a fraud? What if this is the serial killer? What if this guy's a fraud? Thus here I am, I came here. Amidst his calm and emotional voice, Bishop Utravsky stood up. He was over 2.2 meters tall. Wow! And his build was sturdy, his robes were tight, and he looked like a giant from the legends who appeared in the northern continent. A real giant is 3 to 5 meters tall. Oh, they're probably related to giants, maybe. Like real giants. Like they are descendants of giants. That makes more sense, right? Let me write that down. Bro! Leaked! You didn't see the undo files. No undo files were leaked. People from Fasak Empire are descendants of giants. Giant species. No, my coon files. Why are you doing here? Bishop Udravsky asked with his head lowered. Sorry. I wonder if this guy is a fraud though. Amidst his calm and emotional voice, Bishop Udravsky stood up. He was over 2.2 meters tall, and his build was sturdy. His robes were tight and looked like a giant from the legends who appeared on the northern continent. A giant is 3 to 5 meters tall with a single vertical eye. This is a Vesak Emperor generally tall. It's no wonder they always claim to be remnants of giants, believing that they have the blood of giants. They do. Klein had to raise his neck to look at the priest's face. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Bishop Udravsky asked with his head lowered. I heard you have a request, and that the reward is the apothecary formula. Klein, who had donned a disguise, went straight to the point. Fucking mission time, by the way. Mission time. Bishop Utravsky fell silent for a few seconds before saying, Yes, although I'm not sure where you learned this, it's true. Then what is it? Klein asked with a smile. Utravsky sized him up seriously for a while before saying, I don't think you can fulfill my request. Perhaps I can. I need to know the details before I can make an evaluation, Klein frowned. Utravsky stood there like a giant pillar. After a few seconds he said, My request is... At this point he closed his eyes and said, Kill me. No, what? Why? 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 Why can't you kill yourself? Wait, what the fuck? It's an empty chapter here. Okay, I'm guessing that he unable to do it himself because he's a beyonder and there's something stopping him. Because he's a bishop of that church, by the way. It means that he's probably like sequence 5, 6, or 4. Don't think Klein can kill him unless he doesn't fight back, but I feel like he can fight back. So why can't anyone, like, for example, anyone kill him then? Does he have to go to like a sacrifice ritual or something? Or does he have to go... Like, does it have to... Like, why? Like, let's find out. There's no reason to guess, but I'm guessing it's not as simple as just... It's not as simple as to, like, just, you know, jump off a bridge or something. So let's see. kill you? It was the first time Klein had heard of such a request, and for a moment he didn't know how to respond to such a task. He even started to suspect if there was a conspiracy. Bishop Utrovsky opened his eyes and looked down at Klein. Killed old me. Killed old me. Father, can you not have such long pauses? Father, can you not have such long pauses when you are speaking? Klein's mouth twitched as he asked in puzzlement. Even the legends and myths, no one can return to the past. I'm afraid this task of yours can only be accomplished by the 7 gods. No, I mean killing the past me. Oh, it just never died as it resides in the depths of my heart. But that's your mental problem. How do we... You need a psychiatrist. You need a psychiatrist. Right? Seeing the Klein was still confused, the slightly hunchbacked bishop said, the former me who used to love to kill and fight didn't completely die just because of my condition. Ooh! What if this guy has a double personality? What if this guy goes on serial killings and he's the serial killer? Like that's why he has so much like regret and wants it to be done over with quickly. Even though, oh no, but he's on the apothecary pathway though. Maybe it's not a demon then, or someone from the criminal pathway, but nah. I was like, oh, what if this guy has like a mental disorder where like at night he's the killer, during day he is, you know, a bishop, you know what I mean? Maybe not. I can really sense that he's still living inside my body, always wanting to regain control of everything, and I'm constantly suppressing him, hoping that he will be redeemed through mass ascetic cultivation mentioned, and preaching, making him truly believe in the teachings of the Earth Mother and become one with me again. Bro has double personality disorder. Simply put, the imprints of the past are too deep and they fiercely conflict with your current life, resulting in a split personality. The pseudo-psychologist and keyboard warrior Klein Moretti made a preliminary judgment and said in deliberation, it's a psychological problem. I don't think that what you need most is a psychiatrist. Exactly. Attempted that before, perhaps you aren't aware, there's a doctor sequence among the Beyonder pathway of the Church of Earth Mother controls, which is also known as, healing pastor in ancient times. This is the old man talking, sorry. I adapted that before, perhaps you aren't aware, there's a doctor sequence among the Beyonder pathway that the Church of Earth Mother controls, which is also known as healing pastor in ancient times. They studied my problem and believe it's not as simple as a psychological alignment. Also mixed with the incantation of losing control, if the past me defeats the present me, I will lose control without a doubt and become a monster, Udarisky said with a sigh. Bye username, I'm sorry. Did you have to leave? Have fun. Anyway. I'm not sure how much in control he is, the other him, right? Because he seems to have like a very big, like a serious problem with the old him that tries to like take control. I wonder if, you know, he does take control and that's where the murders happen, because he seemed to be like killing people in the past as well. At least like he said that he had like a very like bad past and stuff like that. I'm guessing it's to do with like murders and ruining people's lives, right? Then what you need is a spectator pathway sequence and psychiatrist. Klein thought for a moment and said, your words make me believe that you found a way to solve your problem, but you only lack a suitable executor, am I right? Yes, all these years besides preaching, I've also been searching for people and objects that can help me. In the end, with Earth Mother's blessings, I obtained a very mystical item. It's said to be a relic of ancient dragon. Ooh! Seeing that Klein wasn't scared away, Dresky answered with some hope. It allows me to reveal to enter the deepest part of the target's soul, or in other words, the bottom of target's dreamland. There a corresponding scene will be materialized. That way you can see the past me directly and then through combat eliminate him. In that special state, once he's truly dead, he will never appear again. Hard to misidentify a 2-meter giant. True. Corresponding scene will be materialized. That way you can see the past me directly and then... I don't think it's him, by the way. It's a side quest. Is it a sequence 7 artifact? But he got it from a relic of an ancient dragon, though. Might be a higher sequence artifact, though. But like, I wonder what the original ability looked like then. Just enter a person's soul. As expected, the mysterious world is actually such a method to treat someone with split personalities. Klein sighed with emotion and cautiously asked, "What restrictions are there, or what harm will it cause to the holder? What do you think I'm capable of? Why do you think I'm incapable of completing the task?" Bishop Odrasky looked down at Klein and said, "Once you use that mystical item, although the owner will remain conscious, there are many layers to the soul or teamland. The past me will be able to make full use of this point to deceive you, or conversely, they can even kill you, and even after a set period of time, yes, 5 minutes, that mystical item will make you completely lose consciousness, and your mind will never able to return to your body and become its sacrifice. In this way, you will become a vegetable." Oh. In addition, as a result of the scene's materialization, if you're killed in deepest part of your heart, or to put in another way, the lowest level of dreamland, similar side effects will occur. It's equivalent to true death. Believe me, the best me is much stronger than you think. I'm guessing he's old, but his old self is probably at its peak strength, right? That's what I'm guessing. Maybe. Because it's like not like a demon in his heart, but it's some like spiritual thing where his other self is like deep inside, but I feel like he's stronger than the current him, right? So that means he might lose control soon anyway. That's why he wants to, like, you know, find someone. But he has been looking for a very long time and he hasn't lose control yet, so I don't know. To that other self. Soul Mind is related to a dragon. Yeah. I mean, Sequence 0 is Dragon of something, right? I think. Or Spectator. And Spectre Pathway used to be like on the dragon like owned by a dragon species. But that's how it is. However, this issue isn't a problem at all for me. I'm someone who can stay awake and rational during spirit channeling and dreams. Even if that mystical item wants me to make me lose myself completely, there's no need to worry too much. As long as there's room for struggle, I can take 4 steps counterclockwise and chant my honorific name. Yeah, you can tip and directly head above the grey fog. The problem is, how strong is the past Bishop Udrovsky? What are my chances of defeating him? What restrictions of taboos are there in fighting in a materialist spiritual world? Klein thought for a while and said, "How strong were you, Father Udrovsky? I don't think I will definitely lose." Bishop Udrovsky's eyes turned adrift for a moment. "I was a warrior. I already reached sequence 6 of my Beyonder pathway, becoming a Dawn Paladin." You're a monster pathway. What? Wait, monster pathway can be interchanged with apothecary or something? Wait, Dawn Paladin wasn't monster, sorry. I'm warrior pathway, yeah. Okay, can warrior be interchangeable with apothecary? Not monster, sorry, warrior. Warrior, sorry. Did he... Wait, because he's now a bishop of Church of Earth Mother. That is the Church of Apothecary and Planter, no? No? Keep reading. So he's not a Beyonder on the Planter pathway. He himself said that he had committed a crime and become a pirate before being converted to Church of Earth Mother. Sequence 6 says it's not like I can't win. A magician is kind of Beyonder that's much stronger if they make preparations in advance. Also, due to my uniqueness, the deepest part of my heart or the lowest level of my dreamland can be considered as my home ground. Klein pondered for a few seconds and said, "Will that mystical item weaken him?" "Yes, but it's still his main region of activity, so the weakening won't be too great. At most, it will be like he had already fought an intense battle." Zdravsky recalled his previous attempts. He converted religion, not pathways. Oh, makes sense. I just thought he has like a high position in this church, that he must be on the apothecary or on Planter pathway. But I guess because the churches are so small and they're oppressed and there are not other followers, it's not always like that. That makes sense. Yeah, you're right. Exactly, Krawish, you're right. You're right. I just thought because he was in a high position of authority and power that maybe he interchanged later. But no. Okay. That just raises my chances, Klein continued. Is there anything I need to pay attention to that in a special environment? Just like a real combat, effective attacks are always effective. Illusions will remain illusions, but one thing must be noted. It can bring you into a few other levels of the dreamland at any time, creating a situation where it's so hard to determine whether it's reality or illusion. Bishop Odravsky emphasized. So you have to be at least at sequence 6 or some other special sequence 7. I mean, sequence 7 is the strongest sequence 7, right? Or that's what you guys said. To be able to complete this mission, and the risk is nothing trivial. If I didn't swear on a holy artifact of Earth Mother that I won't ask the church for help before my mission succeeds, things won't have been so difficult. That's how it is. I'm not afraid of a dream. The corner of Klein's mouth curled up. Final question, are there any points to take note when feigning a Dawn Paladin? Okay, I see. Best, not strongest. Oh, my bad. As interesting. Alma is always talking about something else. What's the Ludopatia? I do think Klein can win because Klein is very smart, and by the way, the Dawn Paladin that is about to fight in the depths of this bishop's soul is weakened as well because of the artifact, right? So it's not actually the full-on out strength Dawn Paladin, it's slightly nerfed Dawn Paladin. Bishop Odravsky frowned his wrinkles and said with a sigh, "This is something that requires absolute secrecy of Beyonders. However, as long as you participate in enough battles, others will often be able to conclude certain traits. Besides, the more details you know, the higher the chance of success are, right?" I wonder if the quote-unquote other self of Odravsky is listening in and taking notes right now, right? Yes, Glenn answered frankly with a nod. It's a reminiscent tone. In a reminiscent tone, Bishop Odravsky said, "A Dawn Paladin possesses a power akin to that of a giant, enabling the area within 40 to 50 meter radius to be basked in the light of dawn. Such light cannot only dispel illusions, but also has the special ability to exorcise wraiths and specters, and it can even weaken evil spirit." Kinda reminds me of the Sun Emblem. Low-key reminds me of the Sun Emblem. I wonder. This ability is similar to what the 3072 can do from the Sun pathway or the Bard pathway, right? So I wonder if Warrior and the Sun pathway are interchangeable. Or like God of like abilities are kind of similar because there are only 2 pathways, right? Doesn't mean it is. Then can conjure dawn armor around their bodies, which will be equivalent to specially forged full body armor that doesn't weigh anything or inhibit their motion in any way. If destroyed, recovery will require a certain amount of time. Oh, they can spawn armor. Okay. You can also conjure different weapons. The strongest weapon would be a 2-handed greatsword. It's often called the Sword of Dawn. It's sharp, solid, and each strike has a purification effect. Whoa, okay. Interesting. Warrior is low-key chill. Right? I didn't expect Warrior to be so chill. It's kind of, I don't know, like if it makes sense to say, but it low-key sounds like it's a very like just and a lot of justice goes into this pathway, right? Because you like dispel evil and you dispel wraiths and stuff like that. And like Demon Hunter, for example, right? You hunt demons. Guardian, you guard someone. Weapons Master, yeah. So I'm actually guessing that interchangeable with let me write it down. 58 Warrior pathway is interchangeable with Sun pathway. All pathways have similarities. Yeah, true, but if there's a lot of similarities, they're gonna be interchangeable, right? The more they are, the more likely they are to be interchangeable. Or the more they are like connected to something, for example, fate. Like, for example, Monster and Seer pathway are somewhat connected to faith, but Monster's pathway is more to the fate. And that's why I think Monster and Seer are interchangeable. They're tanky, right? Apart from that, Dawn Paladins have type of Beyonder power to create hurricane of light. They're light as well, right? It can directly destroy a person's body, eliminate wraiths, and damage evil spirits. A lot of Beyonder powers, but they are my natural enemy. They have high offensive strength and defense, and they're not afraid of illusions. Yep. Only good news is that, other than for facing wraiths and specters, the mysteriousness of Don Paladin is very low. Klein listened as he simulated a combat situation in his mind, searching for the most reliable way to deal with Don Paladin. Klein is looking for a meta, most efficient tactic available right now. The gestalt needs to be similar, not the characteristics. What's a gestalt? Am I a fraud? The level of mysteriousness he was referring to implied strangeness, unpredictability, unfathomability, and incomprehensibility. Yeah, for example, reader. That's very ambiguous, right? Bishop Udrovsky looked at him quietly. He didn't press him or drive him away. After gradually formulating a plan, Klein raised his head, looked over and said, "Perhaps I can give it a try, but I will need to leave for a few minutes to confirm that you're not lying." Lord of Bathrooms. Bishop Udrovsky replied with a slight stunned voice. "No problem. However, I must remind you once again, although I don't know where your confidence stems from, do not belittle the past me. He's extremely skilled in combat." "I won't joke with my life." Klein pressed his hand on his chest, bowed, and stepped out of the harvest church. He found a secluded spot, quickly went about the grey fog to make a divination. After obtaining an answer that there was a certain danger, but at tolerable levels. Ooh, W, we're gonna win. He immediately returned to the real world from the beginning to the end. It only took him about 10 to 20 seconds out of the grey fog. Following that, Klein returned to the Harvest Church and said to Bishop Udrovsky, who stood in the original spot, "I'll take this commission." Bishop Udrovsky stared at him intently before slowly saying, "It's like a Dark Souls mission, by the way. If you succeed, not only will I give you the apothecary form, I'll also gift you the mystical item without much of a negative side effect." Ooh, okay. Klein was taken aback at first before he sincerely praised. "Father, you truly are a generous person." Bishop Udrovsky didn't say any other word. He took a strange candle from a concealed pocket in his brown clergyman tunic. The outer layer of the short candle seemed to be wrapped in a layer of human skin, but there were also several bumps on it. Because this is like the item, right? In the wick was about the length of a finger's segment and was entirely black in color. It was covered in tiny, densely packed scale-like patterns. "Ignited with your spirituality." Udrovsky handed the tiny, strange candle to Klein. Instead of following his instructions, Klein took out the matchbox, took out a few of them, and put them in a trousers pocket. He lit and blew out a few other math sticks before throwing them at various corners of the cathedral. Then he adjusted the positions of the paper figurine, paper notes, long strips of paper, Aussie copper whistle, and various charms. Okay. This was preparation for the worst case scenario that he could imagine. Also, you can always dip, right? You can always dip and use the grey fog to escape without much of a side effect. So you're saying there is a side effect, right? There is a side effect. After all of this was done, Klein snapped his fingers, causing a blue-colored flame of spirituality to appear. Sizzle. He held the flame close to the top of his tiny candle and watched the black wick light up. Nothing seemed to change, but Klein was acutely aware that he had entered the world of the mind. Okay, this is very creepy though. Imagine being inside someone's soul. Dali has been a lot. Directly in front of him, he saw Bishop Udrovsky still standing in his original spot. His sturdy body, which was more than 2.2 meters tall, gave a sense of oppression. The repentant bishop looked down at him, his facial muscles controlling. Following that, his expression became abnormally ferocious. Ugh! Jump scare! Soon after, Klein discovered that the surrounding light and shadows were rapidly transforming, and he felt like he was experiencing a real intense battle. Pah! At the end of the battle, Bishop Udrovsky fell heavily to the ground. His breathless body had blood flowing profusely. We skipped the fight. Klein's mouth twitched as he saw the scene before him. With a clear mind, he silently evaluated. What a professional performance, but I know it is a dream within a dream. A dream within a dream! The real fight is about to start, by the way. Holy shit. Okay, I mean, I think this side story is interesting with Kaputsky, and I like how, not Kaputsky is a teacher. Udrovsky, sorry, got the names mixed up, sorry. I love how we are still world building as well, and we are learning more about Faceak Empire, and we are meeting people from different parts of the world where, right now we have fully focused on Loen, but we do hear stories from outside, and I wonder, I even made a theory that there's going to be a war between Intis and Loen, And I wonder if there's a war, what part will Klein and Darrett Club play in that war, right? They're gonna start. Probably Klein is gonna use the situation for his own benefit, but what way can he do that? Like maybe that's time when like to reveal Darrett Club to the people. Like right now, it's a private organization. Nobody knows the name even. Only a few selected people know the name of it, right? It's not really a famous club, and I want it to become like a public knowledge. Anyway, tomorrow, like I said, I'm gonna be streaming every day except for Saturday. Tomorrow I'm gonna come back. We're gonna read 5 or 6 more chapters. Today we had technical difficulties and we talked about the game for like 30 minutes, so I'm sorry about that, but I'll try to reach 325 by the end of this week, hopefully 330, and it should be around 50% until volume 3, right? Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for coming. Bye bye.